I want to show you a very simple cutting technique that you're going to use a lot in Photoshop. I'm going to go from my background of the East Texas Ranch to a picture of the Washington Monument. Now, this is the shape that I'm going to put into that Balboa Park scene, and I've got this from, I could have it from three different sources: as a purchased image down the internet, as something I've copied off of the internet, or a photograph I've taken myself, and I'm going to use just the shape. Now, you could buy photographs on a disc that you own the copyright on because you bought the disc, or any number of places you get it. Copyrights is something we have to uh, worry about, but at the moment I want to just show you the process. In the toolbox, there is, with all the tools here, there is this tool area right here that has these lassos in it. It virtually has three lasso tools. The lasso tool, it's that round object. The polygonal lasso tool, which is the lasso with some sharp corners, and the magnetic lasso tool that has a little magnet going on there. These are all tools used to separate or cut shapes out from their background. Now, I use 99% of the time this polygonal lasso tool. It's mechanical. There's nothing automatic about it because there's not usually automatic black and white separation. And so you have to physically cut it out. So I'm going to go there, and if you don't have that, click on the little triangle area here and get the polygonal lasso tool up. Now, that tool looks like this, the lasso with a square with the pointed corners in it. And here's how this works. I want to cut the monument out of the background. The monument I processed as a picture from whatever source I've got it from. I need to think about, I'm going to go up here into the image, and I'm going to say image size, because that image before me is a tall rectangular. And the image size, I'm going to arbitrarily, I picked 5. It could be 7, it could be 2, depending on how big you want to have it in the end picture. At 5, remember, it's sort of a small item in the background of the picture. That's good enough. I don't want to go to 20 or 30 inches high, because then it's too big of a document. And when I hit 5, because these lines right here are joined by that chain, that means when I hit 5, whatever this is in 5, the ratio or width will come, in this case, it's 2.363. So the ratio remains the same. If you click this off, then it could go to whatever shape you want it to, but it's not going to be in ratio. I've also made the resolution. If you just click on the word resolution, it'll blew it out, and you can type in there what number you want. It came as 72. It was a low-grade internet picture, and I made it 400. That's much bigger in size and in detail, which gives you something better to work with. So I okay all that, and now my picture, you can see on the measurements from the side here is 5 inches. If you go down here on the ruler on the side, that ruler isn't there. Hit Command R, and the ruler show up, and it's 5 inches high. Now, look over here in the layers. It says background and italicized. I'm going to click on that twice. Click, click. And the little box opens up, and its name is layer 1. I'm going to give that a new name. In this blue area here, it's ready to be typed in. If not, click and drag and make it blue. But I'm going to call it, I'm just going to put a WM for Washington Monument. However you want to take the time to write something out there. But when I hit OK, notice that it's become WM, and that little padlock is gone. That means that it's ready to work. Now I'm going to add one more layer. Let me bring this up so you can see it better. Down here there's a little patch here that has, it looks like a piece of paper with this corner turned up. I'm going to click on that once, and that gives me a new layer. And I'm going to drag that layer underneath or behind it, like you would a tomato and an onion in a sandwich. I'm going to put the tomato under the onion. It's the checkerboard pattern here, so that means there's nothing there. I'm going to go over to my color bar here, or my color box. See, I have black and I have orange. If I hit that little arrow there, the orange comes forward. If I want to make it orange, click on that and you get the color picker and you slide this up and down and you find the orange or orange red you want. And that little zero there, if it's white, it's there. If it's over here, it's orange. I'm just going to pick that orange and say okay. And that's the orange that I have now in the foreground. Now notice that I have this selected over here in my layers, and so I'm going to add that color to that layer. It's going to take up the whole layer, and to add the color I hit the Option key and the Delete key. Now don't worry about the word delete. Those are the two active keys for putting color on. The Option key, or on your PC it would be the Alt key. The Option key and the Delete key. You're not deleting anything, you're just having two action keys. And you see the thing filled up here in orange. Now I can't see the orange because this one is on top and you see the first layer, the top layer first. If I turn the eyeball off, now I see the orange layer. If I turn the eyeball back on, I'm seeing that the first layer, the Washington Monument. Now what I want, and this is a very simple job to start with, is I want the Washington Monument. I want the trees, the crane, and anything else in it. I just want the Washington Monument. Now before you start cutting, go up here into the upper left hand of the menu and notice the word feather. And it's at 1 pixel. Its default is 0 pixels. Put that at 1. You want a slight fuzz on this edge here. If it's too sharp or too clean, it looks out of place. So you want just a slight, not a 3, not a 4, not a 5. You can try that and see that it gives you a bigger fuzzy edgy, but 1. So if it's not 1, just click that and hit the word 1, or the number 1, so it's not a 0 or a 3. And when you've done that, then you're ready to go. Now, let me show you how to start. That wasn't it. You take your little guy here, and I'm going to start at the point of this thing. Now, if you want to be really careful, take your magnifying tool and click on the top of that point. See how I'm enlarging that? Okay, that helps me then to see clearer or better what I'm going to cut out here. Now, notice as I enlarge it, it also gets very fuzzy on the edge here. That's part of the thing about a picture that doesn't start off with really high resolution. There's a lot of little fuzzy, liney particles that line up, and we're going to actually eliminate a lot of those particles by doing this cutout job. Okay, now I've got it larger, and you can see on my navigator it's zoomed in to this size so that I'm looking just at the top of it. And I'm going to come up here to the very top, this point of the monument. Now it's not a real point. I'm going to come here and click, and I've got a short line. Then I'm going to come down here, and because there's no curves, this is very simple. If there were curvy lines here, you have to follow the curves. We'll see that a lot later. But I'm going to come down here to this edge or corner and click again. And then I'm going to come down as I work my way down the top here, click. Now I can come out here and I'm going to cut away. What I'm doing is I'm going to work on the top of this. I'm going to come to the actual line where it's gray and not white. And see when I come back now, I'm coming back to where I started. See the cursor as I bring that line back, and the little 0 shows up. That means it's now going to connect, and I've made the marching ants. And I've got it just on the exact periphery of the lines of this Washington Monument. Now, I need to go over here and make sure that the top layer is active. It's got the blue behind it. Now I am going to hit the delete key, and it will delete what's all inside those marching ants. And I'm seeing now through the first layer to the second layer. And I use that really bright orange because it gives me a good idea of where the edges are and what I'm making. Now if I bring my cursor, which is changed from the pointed lasso to the arrow, if I click on that, that takes away the marching ants, and I'm ready to move on and work again. Now what I'm going to have to do is I need to see the rest of the monument here, so I'm going to come over here to the navigator and grab that red box with my visual and drag it down a little bit. There, now I can still see some of the edge. I'm going to take my polygonal lasso tool, and I'm going to come out here and I'm going to start out away from it, come back to it and line myself up again, and then come down and just, this is a straight line, so this is very easy. Now if I bring my cursor, I stop there and I just sort of tap towards the bottom. You see it moves it up for you without having to let go of the tool. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to click again at that point, clink. And I'm going to come and push it down again until I'm covering a lot of the area here. Now I'm going to come down to around the base. I'm going to cut a lot of that base off so I don't have to worry about it. And come back around here. Now I'm going to come back up. I can't see the edge of the line, so I push towards the top and it rolls it back up. And pretty soon I'm going to see where I started right there. And I'm going to come there and see those zeros show up, click. All right, now there's the marching ants, and it's going up the whole side of the right side of the monument. Hit delete key, and away we go there. Now, I come back inside and click, and away the marching ants goes, because I'm going to activate marching ants on the other side. Click out here away from your work, and click in here, and then start down the left side of this monument. Now, don't click your mouse sort of halfway or fiddle with it, because if it does, this line will shut on itself. And I'll show you that in a minute. But I come back around here, the bottom, and I come back out into the sky and come back up again and move it back up to the top so I can find my original line. It's coming. There it is. All right, and then close it off, and bingo. Now, I'm backing it off in the monitor, in the navigator, and I'm going to come back so I can see the whole picture. I can get rid of this by clicking on it with that little white arrow, or hit the Command D key, and that takes out the marching ants as well. Now let's look at this again. If I click and release and come over here and click and release and click and release and click and release, and I come back to there, and the little zero shows up. Now that's what I'm going to take out. And things are going to get more complicated with this cutting, and we'll look at it a lot more, so you'll see that. But now I want just the monument. So I'm going to click around the orange thing, and I'm going to come across the monument here because I don't care to have the exact base. And I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to go outside the picture and come down around the bottom and come back in here like this and close that off. Now what's going to happen is when I hit the delete key, all the blue and green and everything's going to go away. Whoop, and I've got the monument left, except for that sky in the top. I'm going to come back up here and clean that off too, because I don't want that part of my picture. You can go outside of the actual picture, and nothing's working except your line. When you click on it and delete it, that blue sky goes away, and then I hit Command D, and I have what's left of the monument. Now, if I go back to my Move tool, I can click on the monument, and I can move it around where I want to. I can actually enlarge the monument. See the lines here that goes around that shape? That's the box that defines the shape. I can come up here, and by holding down the Shift key, I can enlarge this box, this whole box and the object inside of it. I can enlarge it proportionally. If you don't hold the Shift key down, you're going to get something like this going on, and you don't want that. So hold the Shift key down and enlarge proportionally. And I'll just enlarge that. I don't really need to, but I do have to fill. I said, you want to apply that? I made a change, and you say, yes, I do, apply it. And then with the arrow back, I can sort of recenter this thing. Now, that is the Washington Monument that I'm going to use in this Balboa picture. Here's how I move it to the other picture. I make sure I'm on that layer that is the Washington Monument. See, I can turn that on and off. I'm on that layer. It's active because it's blue. I'm going to take this Magic Wand tool, and I'm going to click on all the negative space. And see what happened? The marching ants appear, and it's clicking on all the negative space. Then I go up in here to select my menu, top bar menu, select, and I want inverse. Now what inverse means is that everything that was the negative space is going to then turn it and just get the positive space. And so inverse means I don't have all the orange anymore. What I don't have is the monument. By hitting inverse, you see all the monument now is surrounded by the marching ants, and that's my business. Now, to get that over to the place I'm working on, I'm going to hit the Command C, the Command key, and the C key for copy. And it's now, this image is copied on my board. I can go back to the Balboa Park picture, and here it is, background. It's just the background. I'm going to go click on that, and I'm going to say buildings. And okay that. Now only the bottom layer has a new layer box open up. So everything else, when I hit a new layer, and I need a new layer, click, there's layer 1. I'm going to immediately label that. I'll just put WM for Washington Monument, but you need to label those because you get a lot of layers going on there and you forget. Okay, see, it's active. Now, Command V key is how you paste it in, and there it is. It's sitting there in the picture. I can move it around. You see, because I've cut away everything else, it's got a sharp, clean edge to it. Now, I'm going to put that in the picture as per what you've probably already seen about moving that in there, but I can move that around, and I need to cut it off. Maybe I want to make it further back in the distance, so with the Shift key down, I'm going to make this thing a lot smaller. What does that do? It puts it, and then I have to say with the select tool, you want to apply the transformation, yes. Wait for this to happen. Whenever you change the size of anything, don't move on because you get frustrated. Why isn't this working? Why isn't this working? Because you still have to hit the apply button. Now I'm going to put that up there, and now it's further in the distance. I'll make it, about that tall. But look, it's sticking down over here. All right, now here's how you cut that off. This is very easy in this case. You see the WM Washington Monument. I'm going to turn it off. What I've got left is the buildings. Now I'm going to take my polygonal lasso tool, and I'm going to come across the top of this building right here and over here and way down deep and back here, and then close it off. See what I've got? Now when I turn that back on, the Washington Monument, you see what it's going to do? It's going to cut away on this layer. It's not going to cut away on the other layer because it's not active on the other layer. When I hit delete, it cuts it off right at that straight line. There again, this is going to be very easy because it's not a curved line or a jagged line that we'd have to make the jags with this polygonal lasso tool. When I hit the Command D, there it is now, and my picture is lined up and I'm ready to go. Now, as we did with the other, what's wrong with this picture is that there is a reflection in the water, and I'm not seeing the reflection because it's only one shape. And so to get the reflection happening, I'm going to take my selection tool, make sure that's selected. Now, see the Washington Monument here? I'm going to drag that down and the whole layer and put it on that new layer button. And what it's going to do is make a copy. See, Washington Monument copy. So there's two of them there. See? Now I'm going to turn this one upside down because it's going to become my reflection. Now watch what I happen to turn that way. It's now selected, the copy, the Washington Monument, or I could say reflection. I probably should change that word from copy. That's an automatic when you copy something. And I'll change it to reflection. And there it is. Okay, now watch this. That is selected. I'm going to go over here to image, and I'm going to say image rotation 180 degrees. And it's thinking about it. Oops, you know what I did? That was wrong. Command Z. I'm going to go back again. That was wrong. I turned the whole picture upside down. I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and in this case, rotate 180 degrees because the selected thing will rotate. See, only the monument, what's going to be my reflection, is selected. And now, remember where I did that? I went to Edit and into Transform and into Rotate 180 degrees. You can go clockwise 90 degrees or counterclockwise. So that's where you do the selected piece, not the whole picture, like the whole Balboa Park, but just the selected piece. Okay, now I grab this and I bring it down here and I'm going to line it up. If I want to really be careful, I probably should take a guideline, click on the arrow here and bring the guideline out and use the point of the monument. See that guide? That's a temporary guide. Use the point there. And then I'm going to have to drag this down and put it where it goes on the roof edge. Now, you see what I'm accomplishing here is that the reflection is actually going to be out of the picture. It's going to be in the water here, not in the concrete. So I've got to trim this a little bit. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take my polygonal lasso and I'm going to come across the top of that roof. I'm going to trim a little. It's like cutting a fingernail. I'm going to trim a little off, a little bit more because it's going the other way. The angle of the building in the water is going the other way. But you can't see that. Now, remember, I'm on the reflection. I hit delete, and that chops it up there. One more chop is to come here and come down this cement walkway, and you can just barely see it there, and come back around. Now again, I'm only going to cut the Washington Monument reflection, and when I hit delete, it's still on that reflection business. When I hit delete, you can see I've trimmed that down. Now one final thing is this thing in reflection. You see the opacity up here is 100%. I'm going to click that, and it gives me a little slider bar. I'm going to bring the reflection down maybe to like 70%. You see what's happening there is I'm making it more opaque. I'm going to take this line out now because everything has already been lined up. And reflection allows you to see some of these water lilies that are in the water here, and it looks more reflected, more transparent, more whatever you want to. It's still there. If I click away on some other tool, the box goes away, and you can see this is my final picture with the tower in it now as the Washington Monument layer, and the new layer is a reflection. See, you can bring that in and out, and now it's somewhat, the opacity has changed, so you can see these little water lilies. You might even go back in there and cut the water lilies out so they're even more seeable. This is not that necessary. So that's the cutting thing that's happened. Now, remember when we finished this all off, you can go back and you can remove this guy by using that clone stamp tool. You can take material from here and cover him up, and the people on the benches, and this little light out in the water. That's all stuff you can take away. But this gives you then the end result of having something from another picture, in the case of the Washington Monument, being cut out and put in place, and then the second one with the reflection, so it's put in place. You don't always have a reflection, but here we do because of the water, and that makes the picture a lot more believable. So this is the final picture that you can now get ready for printing. You're going to make all the layers, one layer, and that sort of thing. But I want to show you how you start with that Washington Monument picture and make that happen, and away you go. By the way, once you've got this done, be sure and save that. Come up to File and Save As, and then tell it where you want it to go. I'm going to put it right here on my desktop. I'll file it later, but it says desktop in here, and it's the Washington Monument. Now, originally it was called the Washington Monument. I could add to that just like cutout. Now I have the original picture with the sky and everything else to it, and when I do this, it's going to save it as a Photoshop document on the desktop, and then I can have that Command D takes out the marching ants. I can store that in a file that's part of this project, and everything's taken care of. So you're going to see a lot more of this cutting going on. This is a very simple with straight lines. When it gets curvy lines and things like that, you're going to have some more things to work with, but that's how that works.